One Piece 1074 came out. There's a lot of new stuff to get hyped for, and of course, everyone is talking about One Piece right now with the live action, with the manga. It is going absolutely crazy, and of course, we get started, and it's a new opening, and the opening is pretty good. I would give it a solid 7.5 to 8 out of 10. If you want to dissect the opening, you can, but of course, they're obviously always spoiling stuff in the future, which I don't know if that still bothers people now, or if everyone's just used to it. Of course, though, it's not One Piece if you don't start off with Raizo putting out the fire. It was Raizo putting out the fire, you know what I mean? It's kind of typical One Piece stuff, but it happens. It's there. I originally saw everything online, and I thought the episode was gonna be hyped from start to finish, but the beginning was kind of slow, to be honest, but it was honestly not bad. There's some pretty good moments with Momo there, but let's just talk about it. Everyone wants to talk about it. That scene with Luffy fighting Kaido was absolutely bonkers, crazy, insane, way better than what they did with the lightning at the end of 1073. I thought 1073 ending was one of the biggest letdowns in the entirety of this whole Wano arc. They did this episode complete justice. It was excellent from start to finish, and some of the moments I want to talk about is the fact that if you might have missed it, there's a line where Kaido says Haki conquers all. So in case you were worried about Luffy Gear 5 destroying everything, or if you're confused about Law's Devil Fruit being the most overpowered fruit in the series, the Haki conquers everything line is to reassure you that that is not the case. But of course, with hockey, it's just subjective. It is used at the convenience, so it's still something to take with a grain of salt. Some of the top scenes in the episode were definitely the Luffy Kaido fight. Raizo putting out the fire honestly wasn't that bad, as well as the lantern scene at the end was really sick. And I thought some of the things that they did interesting was when they cut the aspect ratio. I feel like typically with flashbacks, they just add a crazy color filter on it and it just looks weird. But the aspect ratio thing was pretty cool, to be honest. And then obviously we get the big flashback too with Luffy and the whole wanting to give them food and the whole reason why Wano is what it is and has the emotional investment for him. It was a good flashback, and honestly something that was getting really irritating in Act 1 and 2, but it wasn't that bad seeing it again for the first time. And a lot of people are comparing that scene, you know, the scene that everyone's talking about, as is it the best animated scene in all of One Piece? And the really big contestants are all of 1015, Zoro vs King, and of course like 1071 and 1072 from the start. Honestly, I still think I like when Luffy redid his heartbeat better than basically any scene in this episode. That was an absolutely crazy scene. And as of right now on IMDb, this is the highest rated anime episode ever. Higher than any Attack on Titan episode, higher than any Death Note episode, higher than any Code Geass episode. I don't know if it's going to keep that up. It probably will, because as a whole, it rounded out really nicely and made a lot of sense and told a pretty good story with the flashbacks in the beginning. But for it to be the best episode, I still think that title goes to 1015, but I could completely understand if you did. I think the fight animation was honestly a lot more seamless and fluid than a lot of the other Gear 5 fight scenes have been, because a lot of the time they're overdone with sound effects or they're really just super goofy, and this was the first like semi-serious moment. And of course we have to talk about the end and that giant fist. I don't know if this is like a spoiler or not, but in case you're wondering, the next episode is the last episode of this fight, and just seeing the size of the fist compared to how it was in the manga. In the manga, you got the scale for it, but the way they did it in the anime, like bro, that thing was the size of the entire island floating in the air, and Momo was like, bro, chill, like I'm holding it up, chill out. So I think that was really cool, and I honestly think going forward, there's a lot to be excited about in the future for fights, but it's about to start winding down pretty soon. And I think overall, you should look back on this whole Luffy vs Kaido fight as a dub overall, because there's a lot of moments that, yes, the sound effects were bad, some moments didn't land, some moments weren't that great, but honestly, some of the scenes in this episode can only be described as indescribable. And I think going forward too, just the lighting in these episodes, I think were one of my favorite parts, particularly like I was saying in that lantern scene, and especially with the glowing eyes in Onigashima, and just the whole way they use colors to help project the emotion of the scenes was insane. And the bounciness of the scenes with Gear 5 were crazy. And it honestly, I see people saying it felt like a Dragon Ball fight. Now, I've never watched Dragon Ball. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I thought this was pretty cool. And I don't think it's that bad that it's a change from normal. I think that's a good thing, because a lot of One Piece fights aren't really known to be like that crazy in the anime space. So I think seeing that and people deeming it the best anime episode ever is definitely a positive. And I definitely think going forward, whether you agree or disagree, you you can't deny the fact that One Piece is keep on getting better and better, and with stuff going on in the One Piece world, it's just gonna keep on elevating not only just One Piece but other anime too, because they're gonna have to keep up. And I think another thing to take note of, I think One Piece is completely changing the whole frame by frame animation. That scene where Luffy is like going between manga panel and the color switching, and we saw this with Zoro vs King. I don't really know if any anime has done it as good as One Piece has. Now maybe it's possible and I just don't know, but these scenes are completely iconic, and of course they're great for social media too. Everyone's reposting them and everyone always loves the attention to detail there. Some of the things like with the animation with his eyes are completely just out of this world and unique. And I think in this world of anime where there's constantly fights, there's constantly big fights, every show has a big fight, I think you're looking for different, and of course One Piece is always going to deliver that. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and definitely check out some of my other content that is not as reactionary, because I think you'll enjoy that too. So with that being said, leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget, we're just getting started, we're going to stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.